Okay, so we've installed KVM, we've installed the virtual machine manager, we installed the desktop on an Ubuntu server in order to be able to manage it locally rather than having to use a remote management system. Now let's talk about the virtual machine manager itself. We've got it up and running here. And if you didn't catch it in our last video, where you find it is you go to Activities, and then after you've installed it, obviously, search for Virtual Machine Manager, and there you'll find it. Now, this right here, QEMU-KVM, this is actually our local system, and it just kind of defaults to that name. So I'm going to right-click on it and go to Details, and we'll look at some of our configurations. So right here's the name. I'm going to change that to Local KVM Host, just to make that a little more descriptive. And here it's going to track CPU usage and memory usage and all kinds of fun stuff for it. Okay, so that is my overview. On my virtual networks, I'm going to have all of my virtual networks. And right now I've only got one, and it's virtual bridge 0. It's currently active. It auto starts on boot. IPv4, it's running this network, 192.168.122.0/24. Now, it's going to hand out this address range to virtual machines. And so all virtual machines by default are going to get an address in this range. Now you can create bridge network adapters to do other things with it, but we're just going to leave it here for the moment because we're just going through the basics of KVM. It's going to do NAT forwarding. So even though your machines are going to be on their own virtual switch, so to speak, and isolated in this range, they should still be able to get out to the rest of the network using forwarding. Now that's only going to work for client computers, and there's going to be some limitations to that, which is why you can do a bridge, but we'll deal with that later. Let's look at the storage tab, and this is going to be where our files are stored. So we have this little file system default directory right here. And you'll notice here I have some limitations on things that's not gonna, or it's kind of grayed out. But I still have access to them. This one right here is to start this storage. This is to stop the pool. This is to delete the pool. Now, if you delete the default one, in my experience, it keeps coming back. Now you can create additional pools here using the Add Pool button. And you'll be able to use those later on. You can store them in different locations and not use the default pool. We're just going to leave it with the default pool right now. For this one, it tells us the size. So we have 117 gigs free. We've got 6.9 gigs in use. This is where it's located at. And if you remember in our previous video, we went to this KVM, or we went to this folder and we set KVM as a group that could manage it. And then we added ourselves to that group. And then last but not least is the network interfaces. Now we don't have any network interfaces created by default, but we could create one down here. And this will let us set up a bridged, a bonded, an Ethernet, a VLAN connection. So this is where you would build your network interfaces if you're wanting to go out, not through NAT, but directly out to the rest of the network. We're not going to worry about that right now. We do want to, however, get into the process of creating a virtual machine. So we set the local machine host. We just looked at everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and you'll see that this is now local KVM host. So I want to create a new virtual machine, and that's right here. Create a new virtual machine, and we can install from local media, from the network, from a PXE boot, or we can import an existing disk image. This also gives us the option to replicate different types of architecture. So you'll see all that down here. We're going to stick with the x86-64, the Intel model, and we will forward through our wizard here. So we're going to use a CD-ROM or DVD, and the primary reason I'm doing that is that I can keep going without it throwing fits at me. I have nothing in it at the moment, and you'll see right here, automatically detect operating system type. The idea is it'll look at the ISO, and from the ISO it will determine which operating system you're running, and then it will try to customize the VM a little bit for that operating system. Well, we're not actually going to install an OS. But I do want to walk through the rest of the wizard anyway. So we're going to click forward. Here's where we set our memory. And when you use your up and down, it's going to go up and down by um, 1 meg for your RAM. And so if you want to change it, you're probably going to be better off just going ahead and typing in what you want. For your processors, we have 4 available. We're currently using 1, then we can add as many as we want. I'm going to leave it at 1 for the moment. And then enable storage for this virtual machine. Now, by default, it's going to create a new 20 gigabyte disk, and again, we can adjust the size. It's going to create a disk for this virtual machine, and it's going to put it in that default location. If I want to change that, I can select or create custom storage, and then manage, and this is where I'm going to have all of my different pools that I've created. I'm going to have the option down here to add a pool at the moment. And then over here I can create a new volume, refresh the volume list, or delete a volume. So I could create a new volume here, and I'm going to make it 40 gigabytes. And then I can choose which format I want this to be. QCOW2 is the default for KVM. But you'll notice that I have some options here like VMDK or VDI, which are used by other virtualization platforms. So you may, and I haven't done this, but you may be able to move a VM or a VHD, virtual hard disk file, between different platforms. But I haven't tried that yet, so I can't guarantee whether it's going to work or not. I could also change the name of it here if I want. But I'm cool with what we've got, so I'm going to click Finish. And that's going to create my storage, and then I'm going to choose that volume. Okay. Also, notice, by the way, if I had one previously created, I could use Browse Local to find it. So, choose volume, boldly going forward. All right. Yeah, we know. No, I don't want to worry about that now. You actually do have permissions. You'll be fine. All right, and then we can customize configuration. We can choose which network we want it to go to. We only have the one that we've defined so far. We can set the name for it. We're going to change this from generic to temp. And finish, and that's going to create our virtual machine. Now it immediately creates and launches our virtual machine, and so it's running here. However, because I didn't give it a CD DVD, it's not going to start installing, which is fine. I didn't necessarily want it to. So controlling the virtual machines, now that I've got it up and running, I'm going to control the virtual machine using these this top level menu or these options right here. So this is show the graphical console, show the virtual hardware details, and if I click on this, it's going to give me all of my hardware options and allow me to modify them. Now, obviously, you kind of want to be a little careful about doing this while the system is currently running, but I'll show you how to access it when the system is down as well. So let me go back to my console, and then here I can power on the virtual machine, pause, or shut down the virtual machine. So I can click on my little drop down and just say force off, and that basically unplugs it and the virtual machine goes down. This will let me manage snapshots, kind of like checkpoints. And then also up here I have the View Manager, which takes me back here, which is now going to show me my CPU usage for my virtual machine. And then I can sort by most or least CPU usage. It will also, the virtual machine here will give me my option to run, pause, shut down, delete, take a screenshot, redirect a USB device, or right here, clone. And the idea behind that is now I can create a virtual machine and then I can clone it to another virtual machine. And then I can just replicate them without having to rebuild them. Now, you're going to have to do some things to the operating system in order to make that work, the guest operating system. So like on Windows, if you try to clone it, you're going to end up with 2 machines with the same machine name and the same machine SID, and they won't work together on the same network. So what you'll need to do is you'll want to run sysprep on a machine before you clone it, and then you can clone it to your heart's content. Similar things you'll have to do in Linux or other operating systems as well. On the view, we can set our console details, snapshots, resize VMs, scale the display, text consoles. Let's go to details. Now the system is powered off at this point, so now I can make any changes that I want to and not have to worry about it disrupting the system at all. The other thing to be aware of is, let me go to console, is the send key. And this will let me send different keystrokes into the virtual machine. So when I'm in a virtual machine, if I hit Control Alt, the virtual machine is going to take over the keyboard and the mouse. If I hit Control Alt, it should give me my keyboard and mouse back. However, there are functions like in Windows, Control Alt Delete to allow you to log in. I need to be able to send that keystroke, and if I hit Control Alt and it redirects my mouse and keyboard back here, I lose that. So that's what the send key function is for. You'll notice we have Control Alt Backspace, Control Alt Delete, and then the Control Alt function keys, which are used by Linux. Okay, let me go ahead and close this virtual machine. That was a whole lot in just a few minutes, but hopefully that will give you a real quick overview of Virtual Machine Manager managing KVM. Now, if you need to, go ahead and come back over this video a couple more times and get familiar with it. Remember that even though we've got the desktop set up, at this point, from this point on, when we reboot, it's still going to go to the console. Then we'll just have to go back in and go back and run Start X to bring up our desktop. And then when we log out of the desktop, it'll take us back to the console. Okay, so KVM is up and running. You've had an introduction to Virtual Machine Manager. Hopefully this is helpful.